The Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is for invitees only. They reach out to you and not the other way around. Let me show you how. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Aneta Felix. I'm a graduate student at the Berkeley Journalism School in California, USA. And on this vlog, I'll be sharing with you how I won the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship on my first try. The first thing you need to know is that unlike other scholarships, for example, the Chevron Scholarship, where you can apply to any school in the UK and apply then to Chevron, and if you get the admission and you meet the criteria for the scholarship, you will then be awarded. The Mastercard Foundation Scholarship has a different process. So the first thing you need to know is that Mastercard has a select list of partner universities. They have 2 secondary schools that are partnering with them. They have 14 schools that are partnering with them for undergraduate studies, and about 14 schools that are partner universities for graduate studies, meaning that you can apply for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship not just for graduate level, but also for undergraduate and secondary education. In fact, there are some scholars that I met that won a Mastercard Foundation Scholarship for their secondary school, their undergraduate, and their master's degree programs. This means that if you intend to win a Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, you must apply to the select list of partner schools. For example, there are schools in the US, in the UK, in Canada, in France, in Ethiopia, in Rwanda, in Lebanon, in South Africa. So if you intend to apply and win the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, your application must be to these partner institutions, not just any school in the UK or any school in the US or any school in Lebanon. So that's the first thing you have to know. The second thing you have to know is that to win the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, you have to apply to programs that are sponsored in those partner schools. I've come to find that it's not every program in any partner institution that are funded. So if, for example, you've gone through the list of 14 partner institutions, for example, the University of California, Berkeley, and you want to study law, you must check that law is one of the courses that Mastercard sponsors. So even if you pick a partner school, but you're not picking a sponsored program, I mean, you really have almost no chance of winning a scholarship because they don't sponsor that program. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is that you have to apply for your program, meet all the eligibility requirements and everything that they require of you. Some programs require SATs, some require GRE, some require TOEFL. Whatever requirement your program in your department, in your school requires, you have to fulfill them. So if they require an English language test, you have to write an English language test. In my case, for instance, I wrote to the University of California, Berkeley, telling them that I'm a Nigerian and that I do speak English language, being the official language of the country, and they requested for a certificate of English language. And I wrote to my school, the University of Benin. Shout out to my professor at the University of Benin, Professor Eddie Aragwe, who wrote me a letter certifying that I understand, speak, and was taught in the English language. So that certificate was what substituted for an English language test. So if your school offers no English language test waiver, you have to write a test. But first, write to them to see if they would accept a certificate from your school certifying that you speak English language. And if they also require any tests, GRE, GMAT, for your program, you have to write those tests. You have to write them satisfactorily. You have to pass. If your program requires 1 million essays, you have to write that 1 million essays. For my department, for instance, they required about 3 essays. They required a personal statement. They required a personal history. They required a financial circumstances essay and a bunch of other optional essays. So for me, because I know what I wanted, I know that I was looking to get a Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. So I had to use any opportunity that I had to my advantage. So all the essays that were optional, I wrote all of them. So in total, the essays I submitted to University of California, Berkeley were about 4 or 5, because even though 2 were compulsory and the other 3 were optional, I wrote the other 3 optional essays. Requirements vary from program to program and from school to school. What a Mastercard Foundation scholar wrote for their essays and their requirements to get into their program would or might be different from the requirements of my program for me to apply to them. So follow the instructions on your program website to apply to your school. After writing all your essays, the next thing to do is to pay the application fee. Some schools require application fees, others don't. But for my school, University of California, Berkeley, it was required to pay an application fee of about $140. Now, remember my first vlog, I mentioned that I never wanted to apply to University of California, Berkeley. And one of the reasons is because I had to pay an application fee. And all the while I had been applying for schools, one of my criteria was that I was going to apply to schools that did not require application fee. But a friend of mine convinced me to apply because of the logic that there will be less competition and less applicants at schools that require application fees than those who don't. But anyway, I gave it a shot and here I am. So if your program requires payment of an application fee, you need to take that step if this is indeed what you want to do. You have to pay the application fee. I'm not sure if all Mastercard's partner institutions require application fees, but for mine at the University of California, Berkeley, an application fee was required. For everyone intending to apply for the Mastercard Foundation scholarships, there's a fund set aside for application fee waivers, meaning that you can write to your department asking them for an application fee waiver on the basis that you're from an economically disadvantaged background and that you can't afford to pay the fees. Some people get granted waivers. Some scholars here did not pay a dime for the application fees. So when all your essays are ready, your certificates are ready, your reference letters are ready, and you've paid your application fee, the next thing to do is wait. Sometimes this wait period to hear back from your program might take days, in other cases weeks, but you'll hear back from them anyway, confirming your admission into the university. Now the key here is to stay positive. You're coming to UCB and winning a Mastercard scholarship. Amen. So when you wait and hear back from the school with a positive response, you would also hear in a couple of days or weeks if you have been nominated to apply for the Mastercard Foundation scholarship. So how Mastercard works is that they rely on their partner institutions to recruit students to apply for the scholarship program. So when partner institutions pick candidates that will be admitted into their programs, from that pool, they would also pick those that they would nominate to Mastercard to apply for the scholarship. That really is how it works. So the first thing is to get admission. But note that getting admission is not a guarantee that you'll be nominated to apply. There were other people in my cohort that got admission from Africa, but they didn't get a nomination to apply. In fact, I was the only journalism student from Africa that was nominated to apply for the Mastercard Foundation scholarship. And this will lead me to my next vlog, which will talk about crafting your essays for success. Moving on, when you apply for your program and you get accepted into the program, you will then receive a message from Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program with a subject invitation to apply to the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program. So at this point, I congratulate you because you've made it into a very small list of candidates who would be considered for interviews. So what happens next is they give you a link where you have to click to write a couple of essays detailing your future plans, detailing what communities matter to you, detailing the problems you like to solve in your country, and a lot of things. We'll still get back to this in another vlog, but you'll be directed to a link where you apply. So what this means is that it's not everyone who applies to this school that would get a chance to get that link to apply, right? And the link is not publicly available for anyone to simply click and apply. You have to first apply to your partner school, then get accepted into your program, then get nominated to apply, and then you get that link. Now you click and then begin to write essays, answering Mastercard's questions about you, your interests, your ambitions, future plans, and things like that. So after that stage, Mastercard will then select those that they would like to interview. If you've gotten to this stage, congrats again, because it means you've further made it down the line. The interview will last for about 30 minutes, and you'll pick whatever date is convenient for you within a time frame. So when the interview holds, you would then have to wait for another week or so, but usually you'll hear back from them by mid-April as to the results of the interview, if you have been successful or not. Now, if you've been successful, congratulations, and Mastercard would simply begin to organize Zoom calls with you and other scholars that have been selected from across Africa, with next steps including accommodation, including your visa plans and application, and your time generally at the University of California, Berkeley. So I hope this really breaks down the whole application process for you. And if you would like to know more about applying to your particular institution and program in terms of the essays and how to go about them, if you'd like to learn more about the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program and the essays, if you'd like to learn more about the Mastercard's interviews and whatever general questions and concerns you have about studying abroad, let me know in the comments below. I hope this video has been helpful in breaking down the whole process of how to apply for your Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. If you made it this far, that means you've enjoyed this video, so please like, subscribe, and share, and I wish you all the best. My name again is Aneta Felix. Bye-bye.